you into this, I can't wait to intro you this way. First of all, he's the all-knowing, and I mean that because he has so much stuff that's crunched into a computer and it spits it out. But if you think your team is going to play for a national title, we're about to burst your bubble because only like 7 of them, or make your day, because based on our friend up in the great Northwest, there's like 6 teams that actually have a true chance. How you been, sir?
I have been absolutely great. It's August 1st, and it is my pseudo-official first day of getting ready for hunting season. So checking trail cams and making sure tree stands are working.
Wait a minute. Is this where you have your land, or is this away from where you live?
No, I'm getting everything ready to go. I bow hunt elk it's about a 7.5 hour drive east of here, on the other side of the state. So, but I'm just making, when you're traveling that far, you got to make sure everything's working before you leave. So, my father-in-law's birthday is tomorrow. So my wife, and my son's first wedding anniversary. And so, I'd ask my wife, so Saturday's out, huh? So I'm going Sunday.
Yeah.
And then you ducked. Yeah. And then you ducked. So what do you hunt for? Like, what are the
elk.
Caribou and elk and all that?
No, elk is,
okay.
I don't have a lot of time to go after everything I'd like. So I've whittled it down to, unfortunately, it's the first 4 weeks of college football season too. So I do a lot of scoreboard updating on my phone come September, but it's bow hunting elk, and I've been very fortunate as I've gotten older, got a little wiser, and so this year, if I can get another one, it'll be 5 years in a row that I put one down out here, and
good for you.
That's pretty good numbers.
Yeah, you know that thing all year. They're big.
Yep.
They're big.
Yeah.
Nice dense meat too. Good, good tasty meat. Yeah. So I saw something. I could not find the tweet, and I know we're going to talk about. I want to talk about the judgment call thing, but
okay.
I found it interesting though that you have another metric where you said like Dan Lanning and Matt Rule had the unluckiest break ratio or something like that. Where
yeah. Well, how about let's talk about Baylor?
Okay,
Can we just make this about Baylor? Because I'm a Baylor fan. I'm pissed about the calls last year.
What?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's rewind.
All right.
Let's rewind. Folks that are listening, I need you to put your way of looking at penalties aside for a minute. Okay. You know, when you're at the stadium or watching the game and they put up the, penalties are even 7-7 apiece. The penalty yards, they don't look too far apart. That's all a bunch of crap. Okay. I need you to start thinking about penalties as discipline penalties and judgment penalties. Okay. Discipline penalty, false start, illegal formation, too many men in the huddle. Stupid things that you and me and everybody else can call from the stands and have to be called every single time. Then there's judgment calls, subjectivity, passing interference, offensive lineman downfield, holding. Okay. The non-judgment calls, the discipline ones, throw those out the window. Okay. And I'll give you a really, really good example of this. This is how it started with me 4 years ago on judgment, non-judgment calls. I was watching Oregon play Washington. I'm watching the game, end of the third quarter, talking heads, blah, 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 blah. Oh, look at the penalties are even 7 apiece. Got a good, fair game. What? I immediately pulled everything up. 7 penalties on Washington. All of them. Non-judgment calls. 5-yard discipline, basically discipline flags.
Mm-hmm.
6 of the other 7 against Oregon were judgment calls, holding, passing interference, etc. I'm like, these aren't at all even. Here's the biggest kicker. This will drive you absolutely crazy. Everybody has heard of expected points per play or expected points per drive. I took out all of the drives last year with judgment calls, separated them. The biggest one is a defensive judgment call. So if you're watching Baylor, They get a defensive hold. They get a defensive passing interference. They get any sort of judgment call against their defense. That drive, on average, just went up 3.9 points per drive. Almost 4 points. Okay.
That's more than a field goal.
Way more than a field goal. Okay. And how often do we talk about losing one possession games? Okay.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to Baylor, you would love to see that you were on the positive side of judgment calls in the season. Okay. Baylor was one of the worst in the Big 12. You guys were minus 10, almost one judgment call per game. Now you're probably going, oh, Dave, that doesn't seem like a whole lot. Did you have any games that you lost by one possession?
Colorado.
Yeah.
Okay. So, you start looking at this stuff and you start seeing these on a whole. If you look at the entire nation, it's almost 50-50. But then you go into the Big Ten, they call more judgment calls against their underdogs than their favorites. In fact, the team that gets the most leniency in the Big Ten last year was the team that was favored by 10 or more points. They had the biggest net bias on judgment calls. The teams with the smallest net bias in college football last year, SEC favorites. I know, right? You're going, holy moly, I thought it was SEC bias for their big teams. Not in 2024. The underdogs got way more judgment calls in their favor. And guess who led the country in underdogs covering last year? The SEC.
Wow.
It means a lot, folks. So if I'm Dave Aranda, and Dave, if you're listening to this or anybody on staff, I'll give you the numbers. Every Saturday, I would let your crews know that you guys got screwed on those last year, and it's makeup time. Because at some point this season, there is going to be a judgment call that will cost you or win you a game. Pay attention to it. I think it's really, really important going forward.
Yeah, I saw you mentioned Deion Sanders in that.
Yep.
He was on the bad end of that as well. I mean, I read so many of these, like the info, like I was just reading over and over again on the judgment calls. But the Matt Rule and Dan Lanning thing was different. It's like when they made like bold calls, like the ones that like let's go for it. You said that they were also kind of on the bad side of it, right?
Oh, yeah. Dan's much better off not overthinking everything.
Yeah.
Okay. You look at fourth down conversion rates in college football. They're declining. Mm-hmm. Okay. 10 years ago when people were saying, oh, the numbers say go for it. Well, as more people go for it, more people prepare for it. The decision paradigm changes, right? Mm-hmm. And most of the books out there are just using averages. How do you use averages from the last 10 years to determine how good your offense is in September versus the strength of the defense you're facing in September? It's all a bunch of crap. And so I don't believe that you can manage and make decisions in a game based on what's happened over the last 10 years. And they're always looking at the law of averages. Well, you should score more points if you do this. The biggest one is going for 2. That's just dumb, period. If it's not the fourth quarter and there is no time or score pressure, going for 2 is categorically stupid. Even the numbers tell you more guys lose 1-point games failing on a 2-point conversion sometime in the game than actually getting 1. So if you see a head coach going for 2 without time pressure, without score pressure, down 8 with 6 minutes left, down 11, whatever it is with 4 minutes left, if they're going for it in the first, second, third quarter.
Especially when they start trying to chase what was a blocked or missed extra point and there's no need for it. There's plenty of time to get it back.
Let me give you a great example of this. Nobody ever talks about this, but Nick Saban chasing 2-point conversions cost him an SEC title game appearance. See, a few years ago, LSU beat Alabama on a 2-point conversion in overtime. Woo! The 2-point conversion won us the game. No, it actually lost the game because prior to overtime in regulation, Nick Saban went for it one time in the first half and failed. He tried to chase it again in the second half, failed. There's 2 points he left on the board. Game went into overtime. If he simply kicks the 97.9% make extra point, that game doesn't go to overtime. LSU doesn't win it, and Alabama's in the SEC title game. But no, that was something Nick Saban did. Dan Lanning's done it too on fourth down. So even the best coaches get bit by this myth, in my opinion, that, you know, going for 2 in these fourth down attempts over 3 yards is a good idea.
You know, Dan Lanning, I love that he's aggressive. Like it makes it really fun to watch Oregon games. Yeah. But also when he's aggressive, you can do a whole other thing about the percentage of the kind of play. Like he doesn't call an RPO, he calls like the trick play, and you're like, no. This is where you call the high percentage one. Like the one that you know will get it done.
But he's nuts.
But he's nuts.
You ever looked at him?
Those things are crazy. But like the 2-point conversion thing has always bothered me. Because again, if you just kind of go along, I'm going to be down by 22 points. All right.
Right.
Okay. Then you will. But if you score those 3 touchdowns and the last one is the one where you need to tie the game, then do it on the last one. Don't do it on the second one, because then you're going to put yourself don't do that until you absolutely, and that's how it used to be. Like I remember,
and that's what the numbers say, because your odds of converting 1 2-point conversion on average is less than 45%. Yeah. That means converting 2 in a row is less than what? 17%?
Yeah.
16%?
Yeah.
Here's a great illustration that I use for 2-point conversions. Okay. Since 2000, so 25 years of college football, there is not one single season in which going for the extra point was less valuable than going for 2. Your expected points of going for an extra point have been higher than going for 2 every year for 25 straight years. And there has never been more than one single week in the entire season where going for 2 actually netted out more expected points per play than an extra point. It just isn't there, folks.